one of the things that Spider-Man always has going for him is that he just rocks as a character. He's never not cool, and it's never not going to be awesome watching him swing through New York City or just go to town on his rogues gallery. So sure, Spider-Man Brand New Day has a few flaws here and there. I think mainly the thing with MCU movies is that they usually end up being more preoccupied with trying to soft launch the next iteration or phase, or trying to remind you that there's some other universe or universes in this case out there. I don't think that's any different here. And I think it does threaten to derail the film at times, but it's all pretty forgivable in my mind for a few reasons. Here's the thing. We're not breaking any new ground here with this character. This has been nearly 15 movies now that we have Spider-Man. We have an Amazon show that is out at the exact same time, but Spider-Man remains as malleable a character as there is in the superhero genre. And I think the thing that really separates Brand New Day from any of the other Tom Holland Spider-Man movies is that and we've heard it leading up to it, is that there is such an emphasis on keeping the characters, the action, and the visual set pieces, every aspect of the film as tangible and as accessible as possible. We really feel like we're in a real world when watching this movie. And if we're being honest with ourselves, everything feels real in that sense for the first time in a while. And you start to think that as you're watching this, you go, I think we've been conditioned to see Marvel movies in a particular visual language. And this is such a departure from that even though, yeah, it's a Spider-Man movie and it may not be necessarily breaking a ton of new ground here, it does feel fresh and exciting strictly based on that. There's real in-camera stunt work. There's the real streets of New York. There's the real Spidey suit with all of its wrinkles and creases and feels lived in. And you even see his eyes in the mask, which is incredible because there is a scene that Peter and MJ have together where you get to see his eyes through the mask, and it really adds that emotional weight that you're looking for from that interaction. And so just a little element like that makes such a difference in what could have felt like more of a retread type of Spider-Man movie. Truthfully, this movie had every opportunity to just act like sort of any other MCU Spider-Man movie and more or less just be a springboard for the rest of whatever phase we're in now, or just trying to soft launch us into the doomsday hype machine. So the emphasis on trying to make this feel like a movie that stands on its own through mostly the visual aspect of things really helps it stand out. Also, I just really love that they are obsessed with making Spider-Man just mill around the city in his suit. He's almost always in the suit. He's interacting with other people on the street. He's walking around buildings. He feels like a character in New York City. And the best part of that is that New Yorkers, as they would probably do with Spider-Man, think nothing of it as he's just goofing around in the city doing his Spider-Man thing. And I think just seeing him in that real world setting is fun. We don't get a lot of that in other Spider-Man movies where he feels like a true character in the city of New York. And I want more of that. I love all the actions. Like, we're talking about a movie where Spider-Man fights the Hulk and the Hand and Scorpion, and I won't spoil the rest, but the most interesting things to me are when he's just on a sidewalk or street corner as Spider-Man, or interacting in a lobby of a business with the workers there as Spider-Man. Those are humanistic elements of him, those just little details that really drive the point home that you could imagine that these are real characters in an otherwise unbelievable superhero world. We're getting actual lighting in this. There's shadows on faces, which is incredible. And there's even scenes where Punisher, Spidey, and MJ are in Frank's home of sorts. And it's a confined space, but it's real. It's tangible. You feel the set around them and the depth of it. And even if it's just characters having a conversation, I just feel like I'm there as an audience member, and that I'm not just watching people film in the void, which is probably how I'm going to feel when watching Avengers Doomsday for the most part. This feels like these are characters actually doing something. And that's always what stands out to me about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies as the superhero genre has progressed, is that those feel timeless because they feel real. And I think that's finally what the MCU Spider-Man films have gotten. And certainly you've heard everybody involved with the production talk about that and really want to put an emphasis on that aspect of things. And I think as far as that goes, absolutely nailed it. The story, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Sadie Sink's great in it. She's a fantastic actress. Again, no spoilers about it, but as a whole, Peter's story and ultimately what becomes the villain arc, it's what you'd expect. It's a superhero movie through and through. And I just don't think the genre is capable of or willing to do something we've never seen before. I don't know if it's in the parameters of the genre to be able to do something like that. The same way in comic books, a lot of stuff doesn't stay the same, or stories of emotional resonance don't necessarily stick because you still got to go and you want to write those characters some more, that kind of thing. I think that's not a bad thing. I think that there are plenty of genres out there that have a structure to them and can still be perfectly enjoyable, even if they ultimately feel somewhat predictable at times. That's the superhero genre to me. I feel like you pretty much know going in what to expect. And I think the thing that draws me to Brand New Day and what would make me elevate this above other maybe MCU Spider-Mans and maybe put it in a league with the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Mans is that it's dedication to the visual aspect. That's something that can feel like it's never been done before. Something that a filmmaker can control is the choreography, fight choreography, the cinematography, the set dressing, the set pieces themselves. Yeah, we can have stunt people. We can do real stunt work. We can put a whole bunch of characters in a confined space and have them do hand-to-hand combat. And it doesn't have to be a CGI-addled third act. These are the types of things that can still be done in the genre to make it feel fresh. And for me, Spider-Man Brand New Day kind of nails all of those things to where I can pretty confidently say most people would walk out of this thinking that this is the best MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man there is. So again, Spider-Man Brand New Day, I would say ultimately isn't breaking any sort of huge new ground in the superhero genre. Not even necessarily for Spider-Man so much, because we've seen so much of him. Spider-Man's a character we've seen a ton of. And so while it's not necessarily doing a ton of things that are quote unquote new, does it have to?